Heyo, peeps. We're here to rank the Final Fantasy villains.
Heyo, peeps.
That's right.
You know what we call peeps in my family? New. That's the term we use for a penis. A peep.
Yeah, what's hilarious is that's the very first time I've heard it in reference to a dick.
Probably because I got that rapper little peep.
I mean, peeps is people. Everybody knows that peeps is people, not dicks.
It's also those little Easter egg things.
Yeah, right. Two are delicious, one's not. So, we're here to rank the Final Fantasy villains.
Here we are,
We're going to start from 1 all the way down to 15. We haven't played the online games. I don't know anything about the online villains, so we're not going to be counting them. Even though they're in the list.
So. And we already did the protagonist list, so if you want to check that out, please do that.
Yes.
But we had a request from one of our favorite fans, Gamer Girls, that wanted to see this list. So here we are. We're going to rank how we feel about these bad dudes.
Yes, these basically douchebags.
What do you call them? The boss of the game?
No, the final boss.
The final boss.
The villain, the douchebag. Yeah. All right, so Final Fantasy 1?
Final Fantasy 1. So I have played some of it, but you're probably more of the expert in this one.
Yeah, Garland. He's the first and the last. He's the first boss. He's lame, weak, easily beaten. And then...
How did the last? First and the last?
Well, he becomes Chaos, and he's like the final boss in the game.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
So apparently he went back through time, or the four fiends in the past dragged him back through time or something. I'm not sure which. Then he sent the fiends to the future, and the fiends in the future started sucking the life from the crystals.
Kind of like my mind is being sucked dry right now.
Right, time travel, shenanigans.
Old game.
Even in the first Final Fantasy, there was time travel, and it was confusing then as well.
Yeah.
So basically, that created a time loop because this Garland went to the past, became Chaos, and then sent the four fiends there in the past to the future.
Yep.
And there was a time loop that he had to break at some point. So he was basically kind of a one-note villain. He was just a knight that basically wanted to kidnap the princess and get his way. And he was easily defeated by a party of characters who basically just bought some leather gear and came in and punched him to death.
Random. My God, he was doing so good at taking over the world, and just these nobodies come along and kick his butt.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know, I have to say though, for compared to like doing the Zelda tier list, which had very little story for the first game, he's got a fair amount of storyline.
Yeah, he does.
You know,
compared to Zelda,
yeah.
Ganon just pops up at the end, and the most we hear of Ganon for Zelda is at the very beginning of the title screen. Zelda was kidnapped by Ganon. I mean, that might just be it.
Yeah. And I mean, this guy, at least they really did a good job building a story around him for being the very first game.
They did, but some of the story that, he sent the fiends to the future and stuff, I mean, I think some of it might be a little implied or added on into Dissidia.
That's true too.
But I mean, at the beginning, it's just a couple lines. Garland will knock you all down. You kick his ass. He's gone.
But for an old NES game, heck, that is why Final Fantasy originally took off. People could sit down and play it.
Right. So where would we rank this guy?
Well, he still was. I gotta give credit to older games, but the enemies build through time, of course, and I do appreciate them more and more with every new game. So I don't know. I'd probably put him mid-range, maybe a B.
No,
C.
No, I disagree. To me, this guy is the weakest of all the villains in the series.
Really?
So, I mean, he's not terrible, but I don't think he has enough anything to really put him up into any of the higher tiers. Okay. I would put him probably C at the highest.
That's pretty mean considering he was the bad guy to start off the whole series, but I can agree with you there.
Okay, the Emperor, Final Fantasy 2.
Emperor on Final Fantasy 2. Now this guy, he was a pretty substantial dick, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was 100% evil, without question.
He had a personality in that way.
Well, I mean, a little bit, yeah. Final Fantasy 2 was good for. They had a story. I mean, the first one didn't really have much of a story. Second one, they really tried to create a good story out of it, and it was decent. But the villain is basically just kind of one note, evil. That's it.
Yeah.
He's an evil douche who wants to either take over or destroy the world. I think take over for the most part. Before he wanted to destroy the world.
Okay.
And when he was beaten later in the game, spoilers, of course, throughout the video, he was sent to hell. Killed the devil in hell, came back and used his powers. He took the devil's powers, came back, and then, tried to kill everybody again. So,
So essentially, he was a character on Supernatural.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He was the devil. He beat the devil and came back even more evil. I think he was kind of an interesting, not interesting, but a fun villain, in that he was just unapologetically evil. And considering he beat the devil and became more powerful, it's kind of funny.
Sure.
I wouldn't put him much higher than, like, say, Garland. I would put him above Garland. If any, actually, I might just put Garland at D and put Emperor at C.
You are the expert in these older games. I really didn't get into them. As soon as you,
Garland got some character development in Dissidia, but
yeah,
we're not coming to Dissidia right now.
no.
So, all right, Final Fantasy 3. I enjoyed this one. Final Fantasy 3 did have another villain, which was supposed to be the fourth party member that got lost. He comes back, and then Cloud of Darkness, and then there was Zand. Zand was, he was basically the villain throughout until you beat him, and it turns out, the Cloud of Darkness is actually the big evil.
So really, when we talk about this game, we have to take some in consideration that this Cloud of Darkness here kind of encompasses the whole game. We have to include Zand a little bit in that, don't we?
Yeah, well, it's basically, if it weren't for Cloud of
Darkness?
Yeah, if it weren't for Cloud of Darkness, Zand probably wouldn't be doing what he's doing. But then again, when I believe when Zand opened up the new realm or whatever, the Realm of Darkness, Cloud of Darkness, killed him? It's been a long time. I don't quite remember that. But anyway, Cloud of Darkness, I guess that's what we're talking about here, is that she pops up at the end of the game and is the ultimate evil that you have to beat before you can beat the game. So
are we including Zand in our weight of this character? Or is it just this character?
Zand wasn't all that much of a villain either. He basically just kind of like, I'm evil. He did have there was a little bit more to it than Emperor, because the Emperor was just evil and wanted to destroy stuff. And this guy, the reason why he became kind of evil is because the big wizard dude or whatever had 3 disciples. And the big wizard dude, I don't remember his name. He gave some of his power to one, another part of his power to another, and then he gave the gift of humanity to Zand, who was a little bit felt a little shortchanged because, the other 2 can live forever. He's basically human and has no power whatsoever.
That's right.
That was his gift. So he was a little bit pissed off about that. I think that's what started his little thing.
And now just a quick side note. Final Fantasy III, this game was released as a Japanese game, correct?
Yeah, on the NES.
Yes. So, not the same as Final Fantasy III in the US, which is actually Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, I think everybody.
Everybody's figured that out by now. But just for clarification on the games we're headed into.
Yeah.
So really,
I would put Cloud of Darkness. Honestly, Darkness, I would put it D. If we're just going Cloud of Darkness, D.
Before, after,
because she just pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's the Warriors of Dark, and then there was some Cloud of Darkness.
She's a cloud. She's darkness. You hardly even know she's there. So, there we go.
Anyway, next, Final Fantasy 4.
Now, this was a good game.
Yeah.
Of course, I only played the remake. But I did find some good draw in this game.
In the remake, I think it just expanded on what was already there, So, if anything, you probably got the best of it, Golbez. And Golbez, I found to be... I liked Golbez. He was a good villain. Not like a cockroach, isn't that? Throughout the game, he would always be there. You'd take him out or you'd fight him, and somehow he would always win, no matter what you did.
That was so obnoxious.
Yeah, and what's funny is that part of the time, even when Golbez is just an arm, and he's just crawling his way to the crystal, everyone's just sort of sitting there watching. Whoa, what's that arm doing? Oh, There it goes. Oh, it's going up the stairs.
Oh, we're not doing anything about it.
No, we're just gonna stand here and watch this arm.
Yeah.
Grab the crystal. Oh, it's grabbed the crystal.
Wait. That it shouldn't be. We need that crystal.
Maybe we should stop. No, let's just stand here and stare. So, I mean, in that regard, I think plot-induced stupidity is partially why Golbez went as far as he did.
Sure.
But I mean, I still like him. So
yeah, he's good. He's okay. He's a little forgettable yet. Yeah. I think that's just part of the progression of building on better games all the time.
Yeah, so. I mean, Final Fantasy IV was kind of like that. I mean, it had a good plot and everything. And I really enjoyed the story back in the day. But now, a lot of people might think it's pretty simple.
It is pretty simple. Yeah.
So I would put him at B. Probably at the lowest.
I was going to say B.
Yeah.
I like to argue with you, but that's about where I'm headed. So okay.
Next, Final Fantasy V.
Never played it. I have to rely on you on this one.
I like Final Fantasy V. X-Death, to me, was pretty forgettable. He was, X-Death was a tree filled with souls or something, and turned into some sort of, and he was like a night thing that the tree made. Anyway.
So when was this game?
He was evil.
When did this game come out? Probably 80s.
No, 90s.
Early 90s.
It was not early 90s, yeah.
So basically, someone's still coming off their high.
They're high?
That is just a crazy character to me. Some tree that souls that
I mean, he did kill
Super X-Death.
He did kill one of the main characters, Galuf, which was interesting. But then his granddaughter Krilly or Cryo, I think it was Krilly, comes in and basically takes over that fourth party slot. But like she can equip and use whatever Galuf did. So like gameplay wise, absolutely nothing changes.
Gotcha.
But
how convenient.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. And then X-Death was all about, the void. I'm gonna use the void to envelop everybody and kill everybody at void stuff.
Yeah.
And then he combined with the void and became some sort of monstrous Neo X-Death dude.
Isn't
heads.
Void just the absence of nothing?
Yes. Yes.
So he combined with nothing? So he stayed the same?
That's a good question. So anyway, and then I think the true villain of Final Fantasy V was Gilgamesh.
Heck yeah, Gilgamesh. I've known that name.
I mean that's a guy I would put, probably A or something, because Gilgamesh was a funny, interesting character who frankly was way better than X-Death. And then throughout the years they kept bringing him back in little cameo appearances in future games. X-Death, and it never happened with X-Death. So,
wow. Should we be naming this guy Gilgamesh and just saying that's Gilgamesh?
I would put Gilgamesh in A, but X-Death, I'm gonna frankly, maybe C. I don't know.
He's a D to me, from what I understand. I don't know.
I mean,
sounds like another antagonist.
I mean, you got the super evil emperor that beat the devil and took his power, basically took over hell, came back, turned his whole, I believe, castle into some sort of like hellish landscape.
Who's that? The last one?
The emperor.
Yeah.
From 2. So it's like, I think he's better than X-Death. I mean, X-Death is an evil tree. Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. Evil tree. I got one in my yard. Trying to kill it for months.
Fantasy 5 is way better than 2. Get some weed killer. Final Fantasy 5 is way better than 2, but I think the Emperor is better than X-Death.
There we go. Okay.
That's my hot take.
Your choice. C?
I would put him, I'd put him in C.
There he is.
Okay, so Kefka, Final Fantasy 6.
Now, it's kind of unfair that they put one of the best bosses at the early games here, so...
He was funny, interesting, entertaining, and he was a dick. I mean, popping up everywhere and thwarting the Returners' plan and becoming a nuisance. And
you know why he was a dick, though?
It was great.
He was only a dick, not to like hurt people necessarily, but just for his own amusement and at his convenience.
So you're saying his own amusements, if other people got hurt, that was just
he's like the first video game,
the means to an end,
narcissistic sociopath
Yeah.
You know?
Because like he was one of the experiments. You know, they tried to experiment on the generals to give them magic, and he was the very first experiment, which made him lose his marbles.
You know, and I always gave him credit because he could have had a lot of damage and been scarred. And even though he didn't say, I'm doing this because I want revenge and I hate you all and I'm so hurt by it, he just more instead decided to go the anger route and not even necessarily associate the two, just kind of go nuts.
It's not really even anger, I don't think. It's just a nutball.
It's just nutball.
I mean, he wanted power. He liked power. So yes, and then his music, the
best.
And his laugh, you know, I mean, really, they put all this character into this one villain, you know, that's something that they really never did in the past. So,
yeah, in any game, to be honest,
and then everybody mentions this, but he successfully destroyed the world.
Yep.
Ruined the world.
Who doesn't love a bad dude that gets away with it, you know?
But the problem is that after that moment, the world of Ruin part, you don't see him at all. And that's partially what made it kind of boring to me in comparison.
Until later.
I mean, I kind of enjoyed how, like now, what I think about it, it's like the world of Ruin, the second half of the game, it's just like, well, they kind of made it open world. You can kind of just tackle things in the order of which you choose, but the villain's gone until you fight him at the end of the game. So.
Well, I mean, look at Zelda. I mean, you play the whole game without necessarily running to a lot of story.
Yeah, true.
You know, so
at least when it comes to like Breath of the Wild and Tears.
To his credit, he destroyed the world. He took care of what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
he's the god at that point. He's off in his own place, just waiting for you to try something. So
yeah,
you know.
So I would put him in S. Frankly, that's my.
He's damn good S.
Yeah.
I'd S him all day. I don't know.
Just get up. So, Final Fantasy VII.
What's that?
Sephiroth.
Looks like a girl. Is that a girl?
It might be.
Sephiroth. Oh, yeah. It just looks kind of like a girl.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I thought maybe you mixed them up with Ultimecia because, I mean, they both had the same hair.
And chests.
I mean, yeah, he does have some pecs. I mean, he's got some pecs. So, Sephiroth. What's your take?
I mean, I like them a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, when we think about Final Fantasy, who doesn't think about 7? I mean, that's the one that everybody goes to, everybody thinks about. So not just the game, but of course that adds a little value to our antagonists here.
Yeah, Sephiroth, I mean, he was a very popular character. Where would you rank him?
I'd put him at an S.
Really?
Honestly, because one of my favorite games, first of all.
Yeah.
Also, his look was just freaking awesome. Who didn't want to see him show up in Smash Brothers? You know?
Oh yeah, I know, that was cool. I got him. I had to get him.
Big long sword.
Yeah.
Black wing.
Cloud was just like a huge, like, oh my god, when I first found out he was in Smash, and then Sephiroth dropped. I'm like, wow. I really like that representation.
You know, and we've been used to big, thick, fat swords and all this whatever. And of course, it comes from a pixeled era, so that makes sense that they're going to be bigger, wider.
Yeah.
And then here you got Sephiroth with that thin, beautiful blade.
Yeah.
It's just, it all fits. Character-wise.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about the way I would rank him, but character-wise, the original Final Fantasy VII, I'm just talking about the original. I found Sephiroth to be kind of like, well, Kefka already did this.
Yes.
And Sephiroth was just kind of like, to me, like when I think about it, it's just like, he was overrated to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he was cool. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought he was better than probably Golbez, probably, X-Death for sure, and the rest of them. But like, compared to Kefka, I like Kefka more.
For sure.
Even if he is a psycho clown, but I mean, Sephiroth is just like, I just found him overrated. And frankly, at the time, not at the time I played it, I was in awe when I first played it, like everybody else, but over time, I came to think that 7 itself was kind of overrated.
Sacrilege. Get away from me, heathen.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could go on about 7, but, in that regard. Remake, I really, really enjoy. But the original 7, which I enjoyed, I really like it. I just found it to be a little bit overrated.
Now, I did recently I don't know, last 5 years, play the original 7 over again, and there were things that really drove me nuts.
Yeah.
But it was still a highlight game. Like back in the 90s playing that game, what was it, 97?
Yeah, I believe so.
That was just, it blew me out of the water mentally. You know?
Oh yeah, when I first played it, I mean, the last games I played was Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI. And then all of a sudden this big old 3D, huge, like presentation on 3 different discs, and I saw the FMVs, it blew me away.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. There's a reason why it's one of the most popular, it basically made RPGs popular in America.
So for
I'm
the
not,
overrated thing,
I'm not taking it away from that. It's just the game itself, I think, was kind of overrated.
You're full of shit.
No, and to a degree, do you want me to go over some of it now?
Fine.
We're talking about villains.
Bash,
here.
my favorite game, ruined my life.
We're talking about villains here. I thought we wanted to make this a shorter video.
Well, it's too late for that.
Oh, fudge. It's already 24 minutes. I really don't want to. I don't have enough time to go through this. Basically, you know, you got the parties, which is 3 instead of 4. We had 5 Final Fantasy 4, then we went down to 4, and then we got 3 and 7. I do believe the technical limitations, but still, three characters.
I appreciate simplicity. You get to switch them up.
Fewer party members, and on top of that, the materia system, which I like. The materia system is good, but there's absolutely nothing unique about each character in that besides their limit breaks. So you can just go into a menu and then switch all the materia from one person to another, and they're doing exactly the same thing as the other person that you switched out.
Yeah. That's all fine.
And that's just one thing that I just found a little but that's just me.
That's like pointing out a flaw in a diamond because at a distance it looks worse or something. Anyway, super great game. Back to the bad guy, Sephiroth.
Okay, so go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, if there's one thing that I kind of detached a little bit with him, is that he did kind of repeat the "I'm crazy" thing that Kika had for different reasons.
But the reason was lame.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I mean,
you got me there.
I get it. You find out that you're not like you were a project, and like they took themselves as some alien or whatever and made you through science. Okay, I get that kind of being like freaking you out, and you need to go to a therapist for a couple of years to figure out, what's like, where's my place in the world. I get that. But he goes through a library, goes reading he falsely believes he's an ancient. He's not. And then he just overnight, after reading all these books,
I'm crazy then.
Yeah, he brings a book down and he's going like
Dude, if there's anything about educating myself has taught me that it does make you crazy. So
what?
I'm going to school and reading. I'm a freaking psychopath now, dude.
So basically, Cloud goes to check on Sephiroth, and what does he do? Sephiroth just takes a materia, throws it at Cloud's head, and then walks off, and just sort of like disappears off, and all of a sudden,
now we're enemies.
And then Sephiroth is like, "Oh, mother, I've come, mother." So it's just like, I mean, come on, man.
Those molecules in him just took over. He was too weak to resist.
Right, whatever.
That's what it is.
Whatever people want to tell themselves to make an excuse for it, I guess.
Okay, you just ruined my childhood, so we can downgrade him from the S, I guess.
And then there's the fact that, and then after the whole Midgar thing, the entire game is spent chasing Sephiroth. That's it.
Yeah.
And what you're chasing isn't even Sephiroth.
You're hurting my brain right now.
You're not even chasing Sephiroth. It's Genova. And I mean, it's Sephiroth controlling Genova.
This was the first green game, okay?
The green?
Green, bio-friendly, earth-loving.
What?
They were out there to save the planet. Dude, they were ahead of their time.
It started out as saving the planet and stopping them from sucking Mako, but it turned into following Sephiroth for 3/4 of the game.
Yeah, because him and his mama were destroying the planet.
I said I didn't want to get into this because I could talk about this for an hour.
Which is sad.
Yeah, it is.
But go on.
I mean, Sephiroth. I mean, I don't hate the guy, but I wouldn't put him in the S.
Yeah, you got me talked out of it now too. Use some logic.
I mean, I would put him in A, I guess. I mean, I might even
really?
put him, yeah.
Are you leaning to B?
I was starting to. I was thinking about it,
Oh,
but I mean, he's probably better than a B.
well, let's say you were gonna be a B on him,
And
and I was an S, and now we're compromising at A.
okay,
Okay.
And-
We do need to
yeah, move on.
move on before we start fist fighting.
So, and I'm not saying like future villains in the series aren't much better. Some of them are,
Sure.
but like Ultimecia, for example, Final Fantasy VIII. What's a lot, and this is a hot take probably. I enjoy Final Fantasy VIII more than the original set, despite its flaws.
All you people watching this, give him a break. He not knoweth what he's saying. Okay. You're all gonna comment saying this guy's a moron.
like Final Fantasy VIII. So yeah, 7. So 8.
Okay.
Yeah, Ultimecia.
Ultimecia.
Yeah, and I mean that one's another one.
Yeah, super forgettable.
It's another one that pops up at the end, but I mean, at least for her, it turns out she was the villain the entire game.
Yeah.
Like Idea, I liked Idea. She was like a evil sorceress or whatever, and it turns out, well, someone was controlling her. Well, that was Ultimecia. So I mean, you can say, well, Ultimecia popped up at the end when they compressed time or whatever in the future, or went to the future or something. But it turns out, well, Ultimecia was the villain the entire time. So
funny thing is,
yes,
to elaborate a little, I played Final Fantasy VIII a few times.
yeah,
I think I probably played that game the most next to Final Fantasy VI, which I played too many times. And she's really forgettable to me, unmemorable. I remember everything else about the game, but there's
no. I mean, despite the fact that it turns out she was controlling Dia,
whatever.
There was just no really emotional impact that makes you want to remember her. That makes you remember.
Yeah.
Dia, on the other hand, is somebody you remember. In fact, she was in the opening FMV of the game, which was frankly awesome at the time.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So
this game got a lot of negative feedback originally for its look.
Well, the look,
like the less stocky look of the characters. It's a little slower of a game.
Oh, you mean blocky?
Yeah, like
yeah,
tall standing characters. This is the first one.
Well, yeah, where they had actual human proportions. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I liked.
Yeah.
Me, in my opinion, I think I've said this before. Super deformed only really works for me in 2D.
Yeah.
Because when you go to 3D, you got these gigantic heads that, really, they would not realistically be able to support.
They're like grown-up babies.
Yeah, and like 2D, there was a reason for it, so you could actually see more detail on their faces.
Sure.
There's no need for that in 3D.
Right.
And that's just my opinion. So,
why don't they make 2D, like pixeled 2D games with the characters like really big all the time? Never mind, I'm done. Okay, let's go back to.
You mean like
when you see the boss character and it's a bigger blob. Just always have that for all the characters.
Was that Master Puke from Earthbound?
Yeah, like that. Let's do that.
Yeah. Well,
I guess we don't have to worry about that anymore. We're out of that era.
Wasn't there I think there's a Final Fantasy game called All the Bravest, where they went nuts with the super deformed look. Like characters' heads were like this, their torsos were like that. It was just like
dumb.
To me, okay, it's comedic, but not in a good way for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ultimecia. Rank her. If we're.
I mean, I got her at the top of a B.
Yeah.
Best.
Yeah. Ultimecia wasn't memorable. Idea was more memorable, and she was Ultimecia, but being controlled by Ultimecia, but she's not memorable. B. I put her below Golbez, frankly.
Below Golbez?
I like Golbez.
Below it is.
Although it's the same. Oh my gosh, it's the same deal though.
It is
Zero deal was controlling Golbez.
Interesting. They're like making out right now.
Yeah, Ultimecia was basically Zero.
Oh, you're my favorite.
Okay. Whatever. All right, 9.
9. That's a great example of deformed look going too far.
Well, the whole game, like the characters were super deformed, and a lot of people love Final Fantasy 9, and I like it too. The super deformed look was, I was just like, well, they introduced the realistic proportion look with 8, and then went right back to super deformed with 9, and I just...
No, 8 didn't perform so well compared to 7, right?
I think that's because a lot of people were expecting Final Fantasy 7 too.
Yeah.
And 8 changed so many things. People were like, oh my god, when I first played 8, I had a lot of expectations.
Yeah.
And, you know, once I actually gave it a chance, I enjoyed it more. That's just me, so.
Yeah, and I do think that maybe they were trying to compensate for what they've changed, so they went back to the 7 look.
Yeah, which is most likely because that whole game was about, you know, we're back to the crystals, back to medieval times. They wanted to get people's nostalgia going.
Now, how it affected our bad dude here, I remember very little about this individual himself, but I did play a good amount of that game.
It's been a long time since I played 9, and I only played it through once. And Kuja, I thought he was an okay villain.
Yeah?
I thought he was all right. His outfit to me is ridiculous, but I mean, I thought he was all right.
He's kind of a clown, wasn't he?
He was kind of. He wasn't like nuts clown. He was more like...
He just did what he wanted. He was eccentric.
Yeah, basically. Yes. And in the end, I think he kind of realized that, you know, he was being a dick and he was wrong. So he had some redemption, but I believe, and I think maybe throughout the whole game, I don't know, he realized he was on a death sentence. So that's possibly why he went nuts. Or not nuts, but...
he kind of did exactly what he wanted, and he kept that standard through. It's not like he just flipped somewhere along the way, like you could say about Sephiroth or something, where it just didn't quite make sense. He had the same character development the whole time.
Kinda, yeah. And then he realized, oh, I can limit break or trance too, and then he did that, got stronger, and blah, blah, blah. But,
that outfit, though.
There's a good chance...
Will catch me wearing it.
There's a good chance I got some of it wrong, because it's been so long. But, Kuja, I thought he was alright. I would probably put him in B.
But this has got to be maybe above.
Golbez?
Right. Am I hurting your feelings?
Maybe a little.
Oh, well, if they consider them hurt. All you watching that like Golbez for? Sorry.
Sorry.
Something else.
You don't want to be antagonistic like the antagonists, dude.
I'm joining them. Make me an
F. You're gonna be the villain.
I'm an S tier antagonist.
Shit tier.
Oh wait, we're doing this wrong.
Seymour.
Seymour. I like him.
I like him too. I like him the fact that he really made me want to hate him, which is kind of
that's true.
I mean, his demeanor, the way he talked, the way he's
obnoxious,
the way he's just like, well, in order to bring peace, we must kill everybody and start over. So
there was a little. Sorry to cut you off.
He was a nutball, basically.
There was some of that political sense. Yeah. Like he could screw you and there was no way you could do anything about it.
Oh, yeah, basically. Yeah. He had like a kind of, he was in power, basically. I don't like, and he was a thorn because he kept coming back. Yeah. And he kept, these boss battles. And honestly, like the last couple of boss battles were pretty tough, in my opinion.
And even when you beat him, he'd be like, I guess I'll just have to come back and see you later. Yeah, and he took off. It's like, frick, can we just kill this guy and get it over with?
Exactly.
You didn't even feel like you won. He's like, you were easy to not die to. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And then he had his anima, which was cool. I really liked anima. Yeah. That big old, summon monster.
Thank God we got to get that after a while too. Yeah, it'd have been sad if only he could use it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And now it's also controversial a little bit. Like, I mean, he was a villain and he was a thorn in the side, but I mean, the big ultimate villain was Sin, was it not?
Well, yes. So I was kind of surprised they didn't put Sin in here.
Sin/Jecht.
Yeah. But if you think about it, Sin was just a big ball of emotions, sort of. If you think about it.
Well, he was being controlled by some douchebag who really didn't even have much of a mind anymore. He just wanted to stop technology. But And also on top of that, Jack was doing all of this. It was against his will, is what I'm trying to say. So, while Sin is the big bad, is he really the villain?
Yeah.
Compared to, say, Seymour, who's actively trying to kill everybody. And become Sin, murder everybody, start over, etc.
But Seymour was also kind of just like a number 2, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When you think about the game, like that final destination, that final encounter, Armageddon, you're headed towards that battle with Sin and like the redemption story with Titus's father, Jecht, you know?
Yeah.
I really did value that piece where that final redemption piece came into play. But the Sin part as a whole was just kind of like weird to me.
Yeah.
I didn't quite connect with the big ball of, you know,
the big
murder.
whale, sky whale.
So,
I think that's probably why they brought Seymour in to begin with.
Yeah.
So they can actually have somebody you can interact with, because Sin really wasn't, basically would come in, destroy everything, and take off. I mean, where would you place him?
Taking into account how you kind of have to intertwine Sin with him, I mean, I'd honestly place him in the A somewhere. I don't know.
Well, to me, I also want to think of it as like a gameplay thing as well, because he keeps popping up, and he's one of the most difficult boss fights in the game, and it's a fun boss fight. It really makes you use strategy to take him out. So, I mean, I would...
Very true.
I think I'd put him in A.
And this game had good strategy. I loved the grid. You can level people up and you can choose which way they're headed, you know?
Yeah.
Of course, if you cheat it, like when you can with later versions, and just fill the board up for everybody, then yeah, I don't know.
It's really a cheat if they build it into the game,
you know,
to turn it on with the press of a button.
That's true. That is true. So, I don't want to be sacrilegious and place him ahead, but
I mean,
no, we can't do it. Seymour does not beat Sephiroth. That would just be asking for trouble. Sorry. No, I know what you're thinking. I'm taking this one.
I mean, Seymour was
Sephiroth had him beat. If they got in a battle, Sephiroth stick that 12-foot blade right through him.
They're gonna say you'd stick it somewhere where the sun won't shine.
See?
But I mean, they were both nuts in their own way. So
yeah, maybe we'll do a tier on nuts of bad guys.
I mean, Kiev would still win. He's literally a clown, psychotic clown. So.
True.
So Final Fantasy 12, Vayne.
12 is Vayne. Now we're not ranking 11
or 12 or 14.
14
online.
This is 11. This is 14, I believe.
I think so.
Don't even know their names. We didn't play the online games. So back to 12.
Yeah, so Vayne, he was like the emperor. A very politically charged game until like 3/4 or 2/3 of the way through. When you got these things called the Acuria, where kind of like spirits or aliens or something that would basically try to control humanity or whatever. And then Vayne comes in and with one of the Acuria that sort of like wants to rebel and actually give humans freedom to make their own choices, right? I believe. And so Vayne is partnered up with this Acuria, and he's trying to like create his own goal of freeing people from the Acuria so they can make their own choices and make their own decisions and do things their own way, etc. It's just, I think the way he goes about it in the games is why he's the villain here. You know, I believe they make it a little bit of a morally gray thing.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the story to every detail, because I mean, Vayne's obviously the head part of the Empire, the top of the food chain there, and he's, you know, trying to invade other areas and stuff. But I think in the end, he's trying to free humanity. That was his goal, kind of. So I mean, it's just like, well, I mean, did he do the right thing? Did we make the right decision to stop him? Even though I think in the end he ended up succeeding in that area. So it's morally gray, and I don't know. It's kind of difficult for me. I kind of like the guy.
He had a little bit of a redemption story too, didn't he?
Maybe. I think I don't know if he did really anything to redeem himself from, because he was basically from beginning to end had a one goal, and that was to do that, I believe.
Okay.
So I mean, it's been a while.
I mean, how does the bad guy have a mission of freeing humanity and still maintain status of bad guy?
I think because of the way he was. I think partially because he was still an emperor, or that was trying to invade other countries, and I think his empire ended up invading Ash's, like the princess's country.
Oh.
She was like, but her country, I believe, was like between a rock and a hard place. So it's just like, well, they're trying to fight the empire to stop them from basically taking over all the land and stuff. So I mean, but it's only later you find out what Vane's real intentions are, and I mean, then it's just like, well, I mean, shouldn't we be kind of free from oppressive alien spirit monster things?
I get it. So I haven't played this game, but I have an idea where you're coming from, Ryan, and it sounds to me like he was trying to free humanity by enslaving them.
You know what? That's very possible.
Okay, now we know. That's a good summary of this guy.
That's very possible.
So we're going to give him the high ranking of D.
No. An A. Not available.
Available.
Available, not available. So yeah. I mean, I actually like this guy. I thought he was better than Seymour, so.
Okay.
Frankly, I'd probably put him over Sephiroth, just because
How dare you?
Yeah, I thought Sephiroth was. I mean, Sephiroth was kind of one note.
Again, you gave a B. I gave an S. We compromised. Oh man, for a game I haven't played, I hate to do this, but
why would you agree with me though?
I'm not agreeing. I'm actually very angry at you on behalf of our viewers. I do not agree with this man.
No, but I think on behalf of what's righteous.
Coming on behalf of the enemy that is morally unhinged, freeing humanity to enslave them.
Freeing humanity to enslave them versus a guy that wants to destroy the world, or
that's little things.
Didn't he like send a meteor to the planet to blow it up?
No big deal.
Yeah.
So all you tell us in the comments.
He wanted to soak up the live stream.
The big argument: how high up should Sephiroth be? I
mean, really, Sephiroth was basically his end goal was to become a giant sponge, to soak up the live stream and become super powerful and immortal. So
isn't that all of our goals as humans? To be sponges, to take in everything we can in a positive way,
to absorb all the knowledge
and grow the energy within us,
and basically be.
We should all be aspiring to be like Sephiroth.
Or
you talked me into it.
Sephiroth and so he's a sponge. He's basically Alan Harper on 2.5 Men.
Sure.
Sponging off his brother.
Audience will know what that is.
Sponging off. Oh yeah. The comedy that had millions of viewers is okay.
I don't even know what you're talking
about.
Charlie
Sheen. Oh, you know what?
Charlie Sheen.
Whatever, dude.
Okay, you win. You can have it above Sephiroth. For all our viewers that disagree with him, you can write into hate mail for Ryan. We have a special inbox for that.
You hate Sephiroth?
Okay, moving on. Final Fantasy 1-3.
Bartandalus.
What a name.
Yeah, so this guy was a control freak. He was all about controlling everything for his own personal gain.
I have no idea what that's
and
like.
His own ideals. You don't? Oh.
No.
Oh, that's true. You're nothing like him.
Nothing. What are you doing to the audience right now?
Nothing.
I didn't see that.
Nothing.
You tell me about it later.
Bartandalus. So, how do I say this? I don't remember exactly. I think they were called Eidolons in this one. I think there were Eidolons in 9. But anyway, summons. So basically, these. I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't explain everything. Is what I should say. Basically,
I'm just surprised that you hold all this knowledge. It's pretty amazing.
I'm surprised too, frankly, because I'm starting to forget a few things. So yeah, like the summons basically were on the world of Cocoon, and they would provide energy, resources, food, this sort of thing to the people there. and it was like a utopia, so to speak. But under the surface, there were a lot of shady things going on, and this Bartanis guy was the leader.
That's kind of cool.
So he's the final boss, and so he's basically King Douchebag.
Was he like a normal human, or did he have superpowers?
No, he was an Eidolon. I think Eidolon's in 13, but anyway, yeah, he's entirely a summon monster. Eidolon.
Okay.
So yeah, and he's basically tried to control everything, and then when people tried to break from that control, he's just like, well, and he wanted to show the party members what was going on, and they wanted to show how this other planet Pulse was so bad and all this other stuff, but really in the end of the day, he just wanted to be a control freak. And wanted things his way. It's kind of like Yevon in Final Fantasy X, that religion.
Yeah.
Okay. So they wanted
getting it now.
Yeah. So
I wonder what he was wearing there.
Yeah. It's kind of like that.
Oh, so that makes me think of the Dragon show on HBO. Game of Thrones. Where there was that season with all those religious nuts.
Oh yeah.
And they just drove you nuts, and they held all the power. And
how do these religious guys suddenly grab all the power from the kingdom, and then suddenly they were unkillable? What?
That's something though that when you could pull it off, that makes a great antagonist.
Well, it's basically a cult at that point.
If this guy is anything like that, he's
But yeah, like Yevon from 10, I was basically kind of like that. They actually took over, and they were took over for a millennia. And remember the old guy, the top of the
Yevon dude,
and it's kind of like this guy if he had superpowers.
Okay.
So so Bartanis, I thought was just kind of like he was okay, but he wasn't anything memorable to me.
Nothing that built up and just amazed you by the end of the game.
No, I had to really reach to remember anything about him as we're talking about this right now.
Sure.
I wouldn't put. I'd put him in B. Frankly,
I was gonna give him S because I just like the old man religious nut thing. So I'm angry at you for your choice in tier, and you're gonna have to defend your stance.
Okay. It'd be kind of hard to defend my stance because I don't remember much about him.
That's an automatic B then.
I'd put him past. I mean, he might be better than Ultimecia, but I mean, no. At least Ultimecia was memorable and
at least we remember who she is.
Anyway,
he was even newer, and you hardly remember him.
Yeah. Arden, Final Fantasy 15.
Now, preempt this. I barely played this game, but what I do know about him stands out to me.
Yeah, I really liked him. I mean, some people didn't like him all that much, but I don't know. I find him very memorable. He was connected to the main character in a way. His voice actor, I love his voice actor. I think, I mean, not the voice actor, but his voice and the way they voice him or whatever. It's memorable. In the way he speaks and his outfit, I thought it was cool. I pretty much everything about the dude I like. You gotta love that.
What are those
hat.
hats called? A fedora?
Is it a fedora?
Fedora?
I don't know. It's like an Indiana Jones thing going on.
I like to call it more like a cowboy hat, but it's not quite.
No, a cowboy hat, isn't it more curvy and bigger?
Yeah, but a fedora, that just makes him sound kind of dorky. But it's not quite that either.
No, because it works.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean,
kind of like a
is it gonna be like
modern cowboy look?
It's gonna be like that dude from Mortal Kombat that can slice people's heads off with it.
That'd be cool.
So anyway, you got a good theme and stuff. So basically, he shows up. I think he's like a chancellor to a different kingdom or something, and it turns out that he's actually way more than that. He's got a connection to the main character. He's way 1,000 years in the past or something like that. Something happened to him and he got his power. It shows it in the DLC, and I don't remember everything about it, but he eventually starts really showing his true colors and just how demonic he can be. And frankly, he's kind of a freaky guy when he wants to show off that side of him. And I don't know if you remember any movies or TV shows where they have a guy through a loudspeaker being antagonistic, trying to play on your emotions and stuff, basically saying you can't. Did you really think you could win or something like that? So as you're walking through this facility, you got to hear this guy berating you like constantly, you know, and then and later it turns out he's like immortal and basically a zombie. And he shows like his face or whatever. And it's just like, holy crap. Anyway, as you can tell, I like the character.
I see.
So, I mean, honestly, I would, me personally, I might put this guy at S.
Nice.
I mean, he was a manipulative douche, and like he even made the main character think that he was like on top. Like he basically made the main character nearly kill his best friend.
Dang.
Because he basically he has like a hallucination. So like
now for me, that's not such a big push, not such a big reach.
What? Oh,
Killing my best friend
for being awesome. But anyway, yeah, he's like, am I being going too long here?
No, I just I'm always this close. That's all.
What?
Just for fun, I guess. I don't know. You like to live on the edge. I don't know.
The edge is living on the edge to you is murdering somebody.
Well, you know,
all right.
All my friends are this close.
Right. That's probably why I'm your only friend. You probably killed the rest of them.
Yeah, I don't know how you got by this long.
So yeah, basically, yeah, I like him. I think he's a good antagonistic character. So.
Okay. You called it. He's an S. Just after Kefka. Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Sense. It's your opinion. I know a lot of people will be angry with you.
Oh yeah.
Because Sephiroth righteously deserves to be ahead of all. But you made some valid points.
I mean, if I bring remake into it, I mean, I think Sephiroth has more of a presence, and I think he's a little more intimidating. And you actually fight him early on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, are we talking about remake?
You know, you got to take what you get from the heart and all the encompassing of every game.
Yeah.
But still,
on top of that,
it doesn't add that much more.
On top of that, we're only one game into a 3-part series of remakes. So yeah,
that's where we are. Well, that's freaking cool. Tell us what you think, guys.
Yeah,
you know, is this how you would rate these people? Probably not, because there's so many different variables here.
Yeah, might be a little controversial, but I mean, that's just how I feel.
You know, and in fact, let's make it even more controversial. We just decided Kefka sucks. What do y'all think about it?
Some people might agree with you.
No one will agree on that.
No, in fact, I think some people don't like Kefka that much. Kefka,
yeah.
However it's pronounced.
You know, I guess too, if you're a new game player, a lot of people haven't played these games. They're getting pretty old now, so.
True. But I mean, there's opportunity to play them. Square has released it on almost every platform, so.
Not to mention the remake of Final Fantasy VI. When they make it someday, will be great.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people don't want a remake simply because they think it's just going to screw with the perfection. You know?
It could. But, you know, they could just do a graphic remake. Music remake. Just go with just that.
A music remake?
Yeah, like upgrade. Keep the music, but upgrade it. Orchestrate it, you know.
Just re-release it with orchestrated music?
Orchestrated, better graphics.
Yeah. The Pixel remaster, does pretty much all that. It's just 2D.
Imagine rolling into the Opera House in 3D, all out, and carry on that whole scene.
Oh, yeah.
That could be cool.
I was very disappointed when they stopped with the 3D stuff with 4.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't wait till 6. And
right.
But the thing is, back then they would have been like, I enjoyed the 3D version of 4, but it was all super deformed. They would have done the same thing with 6. Terra with a gigantic head. That's 3 times the size of her body.
They jumped ahead to 7 and didn't do that. Can't they give us 6? That's what we're asking. If this game makes it up to Square,
what do you mean jumped ahead to 7?
They remade up to 4. They didn't do 6. Now they did 7.
Well, 7 was kind of
I know it's a whole separate idea, but anyway, we could go on and on. We love the Final Fantasy series. We love all these old games that just keep building into newer games. You guys are probably a lot like us. Tell us if you like this. Tell us if you want to see something else like this. Right. Thank you, Gamer Girls, for suggesting this video. We'll be bringing out more.
Like, comment, subscribe, whatever.
Those things.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah. So. Cool. Take care.
Bye.